mic check, 1, 2. Hi, guys, it's Ebony here, and I am so happy that you are tuning in right now. We are in for some exciting times because this is my first YouTube video straight from quarantine. That is right, it is 2020, March 30th, 2020, and what a crazy March it has been. And we are quarantined. I'm in Michigan. Farmington Hills, Michigan, to be exact. And it's wild. It's really, really wild to be here and to be alive during these times. So, doing YouTube is something that I've always wanted to do. I've done it before, but I was like, you know what? Now that I have the time, I have no excuse. Why not talk to you guys? It's not like I'm talking to coworkers all day, so I have plenty of things to talk about, or that I want to talk about. And you know, yeah. So that's what's up. So today, my video today is going to be about changing careers, things that you should consider before you change careers. And if you're new to the page, new to me, don't know much about me, I was a teacher for 7 years. I taught in Metro Detroit, we will say. No, I taught in Hamtramck, and I also taught in Southfield as well. And I taught kindergarten, and then I also taught middle school as well. I was an academic specialist in middle school English, and I preferred middle school. However, when I started teaching, everyone thought that I would just be so awesome with little kids, and that just was, I love little kids to a point. And but overall, I really enjoy like literature and reading and really like relating and really feeling like I'm making a huge impact. And plus, I found it easier, honestly, just to teach middle school. Yeah, you might have had some behavioral challenges, but overall, it was much easier to teach middle school than kindergarten because you have to understand all those kids are coming from different levels, and you have to try to teach all of them. Some of them are like super advanced when they come to kindergarten. They're like ready for like second grade. And then you have some that come and like their parents have done nothing at home. They haven't they've just done nothing. Like they haven't exposed them to letters, sounds, nothing, anything at home. And so they come and it's like, their first day on earth. So for me, I found it easier teaching middle school for that main reason that it was a lot easier. You are preparing so much for kindergarten. Like, all those activities they have to do and things, and it's a lot of people don't realize that unless you're a teacher, but teachers know kindergarten is I think, and I say this because I was a teacher again for 7 years, and I taught in elementary, middle school. I also substitute taught before that, and after that worked as programs, always worked with kids. I really find that overall elementary teachers have way more work to do because they have to like not only teach, but then they have to follow all these themes and all the other things that the school requires. Yeah, for sure. And then middle school, it's like pretty easy. And then if you teach middle school, let's say you're like a middle school English teacher like myself, I'm just teaching the same lesson all day to different classes, if I'm teaching middle school English, and by the end of the day you've perfected it. It's like super easy. So anyways, my experience, my perspective, but so I changed careers. So I was a teacher for 7 years, and I actually love working with kids, but a few factors played into my decision to leave the field. One, pay is ridiculous because I was like working my behind off, and I'm like, and then it's the pay isn't even honestly that bad, and it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't constantly require you to go back to school and renew your licensing, require you to, and with really no pay incentives. I mean, it's just not enough. And then the work that is required of teachers that likely might have their own families, own situations, it's just unreasonable. And education, I noticed when I started teaching, I graduated back in 2007. And so when I graduated from college, teaching was like totally different. It was like prior, this was when we still had the MEP, which in Michigan, it's like a certain stand. Like all you had was like one little standardized test a year. And I mean, things are pretty much, it just had changed so much with technology, with standardized testing, with our state. here, I don't know how it is like obviously across the nation, but I know here it's changed so much where it's like teachers had no control. And by the time I was like in my final year teaching, and granted I was in a charter school, we were literally teaching to the test. We had a test 3 times a year, and they were so pressed about those funds that that's all our everything was about. It was just about this test. And you really didn't get to teaching stopped being enjoyable for me. So that's two. So money and the testing that got annoying. And like I was testing like kindergartners. Like it was like, come on, this is like, are you for real? Like, because I am a person who thinks life is meant to be fun. And the only reason why it's not is because of people. People who typically are making bad decisions. And I'm speaking from quarantine right now, so clearly I'm correct. Like, look at us now. Look at us now. But anyways, I don't come here, I'll go get into my career path and why it changed and everything in other videos. But just let you know, right now, I am a communications director for a wonderful nonprofit. I also, after leaving, just real quick before I get into my topic, I will say this. After I left teaching, I also said, reason number 3. So 1, money. 2, the testing, teaching to the test. I did not become a teacher to teach to a test and to be stressed out about if my kids don't score well, I won't get like this raise. That's not why I became a teacher. And 3, I wanted to be a news reporter. Like I really did want to do that. I really wanted to be a news reporter at that time. And the only thing I could picture myself doing was something in the news world. I was like, oh, I could do that. I literally would watch the news. First of all, I love news. I love information. My father was a big history buff, so I've always just been like, give me more information. Like that's what I like. I like to learn. I like to read. And yeah, so I wanted to be a reporter, a news reporter. And I did. I got, I pretty much got super close. I worked as a producer, did some reporting, did some weather reporting as well. And then decided I wanted work-life balance. But that's a whole nother video. So I've been in that news world, and now I'm a communications director for a wonderful nonprofit. So I still, I do a lot of work with media and things like that. But I've definitely been able to find the balance, which I really like. But we will talk about that again in other videos. Today, I'm here for you because I know that so many people, I'm in like a lot of groups on Facebook, including my own group, Sisters with Vision, which is SWV, Sisters with Vision. If you are on Facebook, you can look us up. It's a group specifically for women of color, meaning when I say that, I mean Black women. And basically, it's just a cool networking site, a cool site for us to come together and just share many tips. And some of those topics that have been coming up a lot lately, a lot of women in my group are now, because they are put in a position where either due to this coronavirus, they feel uncertain about their careers, uncertain about their future at these companies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some of them have been laid off. And so, asking like, how do I pivot into another career? How do I transition? How do I even get there? Like, how do I do that? And before you even, decide, I think there are some things that you really have to consider. I'm just gonna, being a person who changed careers, and it was not just like as simple as like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. It was like it was a journey. And it's still an ongoing, it's still a journey. Like life is a journey, and your job is a part of your life. So okay, so now let's just consider the 5 things to consider before changing career paths. The first thing to me that you want to consider is, what skills can you leverage? We all have skill sets. Whatever profession you are in, you have learned and acquired, you have learned and you have acquired certain skills that you can use and that you can leverage. And no one is meant to just do one thing. And no one is just doing one thing pretty much at their current jobs. If you're a teacher, you can teach anything. For example, in my case, I was a teacher. I could teach anything. But not only was I a teacher, I also was like learning about life and learning about growth and learning about childcare and learning about all these other things and learning also really in depth now about English and science and all these other subjects. That was the teaching role. But let's say you're an engineer and you want to change careers. But you can teach someone else how to be an engineer. You could start your own engineering consultant company. You could even help other engineers find jobs. You could help engineers create a resume. You can teach little mini lessons. You could do something on YouTube like this, teaching all types. I don't know. But there are so many ways if you just take the time to think outside of the box, so many skills that you have as a person that you've acquired over the years that you can leverage. So I say leverage skill sets. In my case, I've leveraged several skill sets. I've leveraged my technology skill sets. I grew up I was a real internet kid, really grew up with the internet, really got into coding really early on, like in the 90s, like all those kinds of things, websites, web building, HTML, really early on. So tech is always in my back pocket, which is why when I left, I also managed people's social media pages. I've also been the editor-in-chief of websites and done all types of things in regards to tech. Two, I'm always a teacher. I'm always an educator. I can teach anything, which is why I can figure out how to build workshops around many different things. So figuring out what your skill sets are is really important. Next, your why. So the why you want to leave a career should have to do with two things. You should want to me, find something you're more passionate about. And I think also you should want to make more money. So those two things should really drive your career changes. I know for me, one of my favorite quotes is from Joseph Campbell, who I was introduced to through The Secret back in like 2000 when I first read the book and watched the movie and became obsessed. But Joseph Campbell's quote is, "Follow your bliss and the universe will open doors for you where there were once walls." And for me, that quote is so powerful. And that's how I live my life. I follow my bliss. So follow your passion and it will lead you to the right places. And I really believe that because it's happened for me. And then two, money. Like you should want to, if you don't want it for yourself, get it to bless others. But money should always be a goal because, why not? Like, Next, time frame. Have a time frame in mind. For me, when I left teaching initially, it was 2015. Or when I left teaching, I left in 2015. I went to Specs Howard. I did a year-long program. I was producing in a year at the channel, our NBC affiliate here in Metro Detroit. I was working as a producer. So by 2016, I was working as a producer. By 2017, I had worked at 3 news stations. Always trying to just move up, get better schedules, better money. And then now it's 2020. So I did all that for a few years. And then I realized I wanted more work-life balance, which is why I think I found the sweet spot. But definitely have that now in my current career. And I also have my side projects, my passion project, which is internet safety, advocating for internet wellness and all of that. So, time frame, consider what are you going to do? How long do you want it to take? How long can you put into this? And if it doesn't work out by this time frame, are you going to go back to your old job? Are you going to try to go back to that career? Or are you just completely done? These are things that only you can answer for yourself. Are you totally done with that? Next, how will I afford this? Not can you afford this, how will you? We're going to move can out there because we live in the realm of possibilities. And so you want to live in how can I do it? That's how I was. It wasn't like can because I'm going to do it. I have to do this. So how will I do it? Just figure out your how. You can do this. Figure out your how. You can afford it too. You might have to figure out some other ways you can monetize things, some other skills that you might have to leverage. You might have to take a part-time job for a minute, which I also did as well. I worked part-time as a program director during my transition. I even worked for a week at a hotel that didn't work out as a trainer or something. But yeah, part-time job. Think, what will I do? How will I sustain myself? Very important, especially if you're going to just totally quit. Do you have a foundation? So something are you just starting from scratch? Are you changing careers and you have no experience in this profession? Or do you have some experience that you could leverage to kind of already help you kind of inch into that field? For example, in my case, I was always writing articles. I had published articles and things like that already in my back pocket. And so that kind of helped. It definitely helped with when I decided to change careers and I started doing those interviews for the new career that I wanted. they also saw like, oh, well, she's been doing the work for a long time. Yeah, she's just now changing careers, but this has been something she's been passionate about. She knows this industry. She knows what this is about. So if you have something like that, I want you to really consider that. If you don't, then you might want to start seeing if you can gain any new experience in that field. So anyways, that's what I have for you all today. I know that was a lot longer than I thought, but wow. Anyways, I'm going to edit and get this back to you. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel, because since we are in quarantine, I am challenging myself to do a video a day on a variety of topics. So some of it will be about my career, but like tomorrow, what am I talking about tomorrow? What can we do as a family outside of the box? Because I've seen a lot of great tips, but while we're quarantined, like how can we live in harmony while we're quarantined with all this technology, with all these things? So, and again, these are things I'm going through myself. I'm a mother. I have 2 young kids, a 5-year-old and a baby, and a husband and 2 dogs. We're busy. So, yeah. Anyways, like, subscribe to the page. If you are on Facebook, you can go to Facebook/Ebs, EBS knows best. I'll have all that down in the comments. But thanks for tuning in for the whole train wreck that this was. And I hope that you tune in tomorrow. And if you hit that bell, then you'll get notifications when I'm on. Peace.